That Davis Show, and we are lucky today. We are joined by Phil Ottochian. Let me get that correct. Shayne Marsaw. Ottochian.
Rhymes with lotion. I always teach people like
Ottochian. Phil Ottochian and Shayne Marsaw, the host of Keeping It 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network. You can check it out Central Time, 7:30 on Wednesdays, or Eastern for the people out on the East Coast at 8:30. Great work. They've had me on. It was a pleasure. I was just telling Ryan, look, we're here in Chicago. The Beardom is everywhere because being on their show, I have people from Canada following me. Like they're following us strong. All right, just to say the least. Also to give them some props with some of the work that they do. Let's play a little bit. All right, let's get that out there for the guys too. Let's get that out there for the guys. But listen, this past week we had a clip that Ryan cut up, and was talking about Mac Jones. So that's the initial reason they're here. Talking about Mac Jones. And I basically was like, definitely, I think Mac Jones is going to do well if he ends up in certain situations. I don't think he's going to do well if he ends up in every situation, was kind of what I was leading with. And also, I don't know how I feel about him being here with the Bears because of Matt Nagy. So that's what I led with. And Phil came on pleasantly in my comments. It was pleasant. You didn't come like it wasn't an attack.
I don't do that. Not with you, anyway.
No, you can actually blame me for that. I was the one. I'm like, Phil, look at our boy here. And he's like,
Shayne, I'm Shayne. Shayne has this way of getting me so lathered up. Yeah. Like he'll point out Dan Pompei's take, and Dan Pompei and I are very close. And I gotta tell Dan, like, nah, Dan, I totally don't agree with that. And then, he pointed you out, and I was like, damn, Kenneth, I got a freaking gentle push. So
look, let me kick it off. Then my boy Sean Davis from ESPN 1000 jumped in. Mind you, I wasn't even by my phone, and it was like, what?
Yeah,
what's going on?
Sean was scheduling. I'm like, Sean
was like, put him on the show. Can't put him on the show.
I thought he was on the show.
Sean is a bigger brother of mine. He's a pastor too. Okay. He's a sports fanatic.
So we'll bring him on our show.
Oh yeah, definitely bring him on your show. Yeah. He's a good bro.
I thought he was going to be here tonight to face the fire.
No. But listen, I'll tell you what. I will do. We can't do that on here. All right. But he would love to come on. But anyway, listen. So this is my thing with Mac Jones. Yes. First of all, I'm a huge Alabama fan. So just like we were talking about the Cowboys, we're talking about the but my family's from Alabama. Yes, yeah. I was watching the A game this weekend.
Yeah,
all right.
Well, listen, it's on my DVR,
dude. Ajayi Hall. Oh my goodness, this kid's supposed to be a promise doing this right now. That was crazy. Dude, Bryce Young. Just listen. I'm excited. It may not be this year. But the year after, Alabama, of course, it's Alabama though. Yeah. Alabama's gonna be breaking heads wide open. But yeah, I'm a huge Alabama guy, and I'll say this being a huge Alabama guy. I had questions on Tua. Really a lot of it had to do with the injury history. Also, kind of how he played after that championship game against Georgia, how he played against top-notch defenses. So I'm just letting prefaces with, even though I love Alabama, I still kind of pick at Alabama players or whatever. I was a person a decade ago, like because he didn't. Julio Jones at Alabama was like, I thought he could even be better when he was at the school back then. I didn't know when he got to I thought it was going to be dope when he got to the pros. I didn't know perhaps he could be the football player of his generation at wideout. But anyway. Right. I'm saying all that to say this. I feel that with the Bears, that if they ended up with Mac Jones, and I would probably preface it that if they ended up with Mac Jones, they would probably have to move up anyway, but I would prefer if he fell to them at 20, just to give, maybe if they gave up, I guess, another pick, they need a quarterback. But the thing is, I don't believe in Matt Nagy in general, and I definitely don't believe that Matt Nagy can take Matt Jones to another level. And there's also a question as far as this. And we all know, when it comes to first read, pre-snap, that Mac Jones is the best out of these guys. Only person that's slightly comparable, but you probably still put Mac Jones ahead of him, will be Trevor Lawrence. But Mac Jones played on the team, like the dream team touring overseas, and I'm talking about 92 team when it comes to the talent that he was surrounded by. You're not going to have that talent here. You got 3 offensive linemen going in this draft. You're not going to have that protection. I don't think this is the situation. I actually believe, and I think them going high is an eye opener with the 49ers if they choose Mac Jones. But I believe in Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's going to have to make me not believe in him how much I believe in Kyle Shanahan. Right. And I believe that with a quarterback like Mac Jones, he can make Mac Jones into a stud if he's allowed to stand upright. But here, I don't believe that Mac Jones would flourish in this system with this team. Now, I'll say this too. That doesn't mean that I think that the rest of these quarterbacks can do it, but I think you're probably going to need someone that has the ability to be off script, to bail the Bears out, because you have a terrible play caller in Matt Nagy. He lacks rhythm. I was saying this to Adam Hogue on the Under Center podcast because we were going back and forth about Matt Nagy and his coaching style. And the thing that I feel when you watch Matt Nagy is and of course, since I got a rap, I used to do a little spit, and I never made it to your levels, Phil. But the thing is the rhythm. Like Matt Nagy lacks rhythm with his play call. You know what I'm saying?
I've said this since he won the division, since he's been here. First of all, there's so much context to what you're giving, setting up this discussion with Mac Jones. Obviously, it was your boy Sean that was instigating this, so I can take that out on him. The reality is, I agree with everything you're saying with Matt Nagy in regards to where you're going here. He has no rhythm. His situational football, he's aloof. He's so lost in his play sheet. He doesn't have anything that counters what you've already established or done. And when you do establish something, he can't figure out his identity is number 32, who's an elite running back. And half the people in Chicago don't even understand just how elite David Montgomery is.
Let me break in real quick. The first person that told me they're misusing David Montgomery and it's more about the line was Phil Ottochian. All right. The first, I always give you your props with that. Any show I'm on, I always point that out. You were the first person, because I was like, I don't know. Shorty seems straight, but no, he's a top 10 running back in the NFL, period. You know what I'm saying?
He's so good. He's so good. He does things because of the deficiencies in front of him. And what you said, this, Kenneth, you're a football, you understand the game. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of, and this is where I get upset. And I think it's a disgrace on the media heads in Chicago. You could throw a name out there. And I'm not saying this because he's your guy. Adam Hogue is the one guy I respect in that room asking questions of this head coach. That's, Shane will tell you, we're the same way. Everybody, this soft ball stuff, there is a situation that's wrong. It's your left tackle, soft as puppy. You know what? I don't know if we could swear on this show.
Go get your swearing on.
He's soft as puppy shit. You got an offensive line coach probably fighting with the head coach in regards to how they want to block fronts, which, oh, by the way, you fired and made a scapegoat of one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire NFL. And here and now, here's David Montgomery having to deal, and I would compare it to a subway train, a subway station at rush hour. He's weaving and dodging things that are in the backfield when they shouldn't be. And he's so good that he's able to get a 6-yard gain when he should have been loss of 2. He's so physical and strong in contact, balance. And I break down the tape on our network. The tape never lies. You can see it on YouTube. I'm not just throwing stats out there. That's for all these blog boys. I use the tape to tell my truth. That's why I said when I look at Mac Jones, that's what we're going to get into. But I'm with you 100%. Matt Nagy, identity 32. That's your identity. Even I don't care who you bring in here. He's that good. You have to build up the offensive line, get it better, but you also need a young signal caller. That would be a disgrace. Here's a GM that has promised, it's the most important position in all of football.
Do it every year.
I got to draft one every year. He's drafted one, and he blew it. He missed on 2 generational talents, and I don't care what anyone says or who it offends. If the complexion of the skin was different, maybe it would have been different. That has been my story from this guy. Mitch Trubisky was my 5th ranked quarterback in that draft. 5th.
He was my 4th at least.
Yeah, he was.
But I'm gonna tell you,
I had Chad Kelly over Mitch Trubisky, and that's a true story. And I have evidence to prove it.
I had Deshaun Kaiser a little high in that draft.
So I had him number 1. I was a big Deshaun. But
wait, I found my brother. You had him. Right. I had him number 1 too.
I did. I loved him. But Brian Kelly came. I'm not a Notre Dame fan at all. I'm not a Brian Kelly fan. I make that very, very public. He came out and I didn't listen to him. He came out and said that he wasn't ready. What you talked about, hey, situation always matters. It matters what team you go to, the situation. And is Chicago the perfect situation? Chicago is not the perfect situation for Trevor Lawrence. Doesn't mean that I'm going to bypass him. You know what I mean? You have to swing the bat when you have a chance to swing the bat. Kenneth, you and I were talking a little bit pre-show, and you can't be scared at that position because what are you going to do? 102 years, man. It's been 102 years. And you bring that up, and I had a guy come at me in the YouTube comments after our show. He's like, "Oh, you're trying to push this 102-year narrative. Ever heard of Sid Luckman?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. So it's been 70 years then." Who gives a shit? But you have to swing the bat. But getting back to where situation matters, I think at the time Deshaun Kaiser going to Cleveland, I think it was awful. I thought maybe he had a chance in Green Bay to learn under a good guy like that, but he wasn't with McCarthy, right? He wasn't mature enough. It's what it was. He needed to grow up. Him staying another year at Notre Dame probably would have helped him. But just like with any quarterback, it's all about projection. I love Trey Lance. Show me Trey Lance running a 2-minute drill. Can't do it. Do I love the attributes that he's got? Absolutely. But it's all about projection. It's all about projection. And that's where I completely whiffed. I had Mitch number 4 on my board, but where I whiffed, I had Deshaun Kaiser number 1. And, it is what it is. But getting back to Mac Jones, the only team that can't out-talent Ohio State is Alabama. You know what I mean? All these guys are all big boys. I'm not going to be upset at all if the Bears trade up. I think if they trade up, you're talking about 2 guys. You're talking about Trey Lance. You're talking about Justin Fields. I think Trevor Lawrence going number 1. I wouldn't touch the kid. Wilson at number 2. He's my QB 6 in this draft. I think Phil's on par with me. I think that's on
QB 6.
So listen, real quick, breakdowns for everyone, for all the fans. Break down why you both would stay away from Zach Wilson. Educate everybody.
I'll go first. The reality of him is something I've seen before, where his body structure and his size, his physicality, isn't comparable to what it is Mahomes is. So when people make that comp, look at these off-kilter throws and athleticism, his body structure, his physicality isn't the same, number 1. Number 2, where there's evidence on tape that Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, was my number 2 that year, obviously Deshaun number 1, Patrick Mahomes showed pocket presence and awareness and plays that were delivered under 2 seconds. Getting the football, reading the hot route, going to the right place, leverage concepts. He had these things. Wilson is just too long in his diagnosis of what is going on. He likes to alleviate the pocket and make plays happen outside the pocket. And a lot of people get attracted to that.
He's got a fantastic line at BYU. I mean, you talk about guys that are getting drafted. Look at the BYU line. And just to Phil's point, that he likes to get away from that. That's where people get away from Mac Jones. They're like, he's a pocket passer. That's not a negative.
That's a positive.
That's a huge deal in the NFL today.
Don't go there yet, please. I'm saving.
Go ahead.
No.
These bullets, these Mac Jones bullets are like, listen, I do the film work. So I am never going to attach my name as we build a network to anything that I haven't done myself. There's too many ditto grinders. Oh, what is Waldman saying? Okay, he has him 4. I'm going to put him 3. And that's how they do shit. And it's disgusting. I know guys on ESPN that have jobs making millions, whatever they're making, and they're doing the same shit without doing the work. Trust me. I know. It sucks, but what are you going to, I told my wife, what are you going to do? These guys make a living off of just, what is Daniel Jeremiah saying? Matt Miller on ESPN. Shane has the story. What is it? Becton for the offensive tackle drafted by the Jets. Matt Miller on a Friday has him ranked 76th, right? 76. You ranked this guy. Yeah. This is your job.
Went up to 14th overall.
Daniel Jeremiah comes out with his top 50 rankings on Saturday. On Monday, Matt Miller moved Becton all the way up to 14th overall. This is that kind of stuff that happens. You got to have your own. I have my own stance, and I'm not going to move from. Obviously, things could move around because I'm juggling. Like, do I like Hufanga, the safety out of USC, better than this guy? And I'll struggle there. But I'm not playing this game of what does everybody else think. That being said, back to Zach Wilson, I just see a guy that just is not going to be ready to make it, be the man. The Jets are going to draft this kid and they don't have anybody else, and you're going to throw him out there, and you're talking about it right now. This kid has talent. I'm not saying that. I just wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole because a lot of these guys see these big time movement plays and athletic plays, and they don't see the struggles against Coastal Carolina, standing in the pocket, not making the big time throws that I see other quarterbacks that have this pedigree make. And he's just somebody that just, count it down, Kenneth. Anybody watching at home right now, watch Zach Wilson. Count 3 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1. He still has the ball. That ain't happening in the NFL. That is not happening. And his arm is not as accurate as, I want to see out there.
The Patrick Mahomes comp
it's like one fucking throw on a pro day.
That's
everybody's going ballistic. And that's the reality. And I don't play that game. So I know
they showed you Sam Darnold make the same play. It didn't go quite the distance.
I got Andy Dalton making that same fucking play in a game. I can show you that play. Andy Dalton booting out, throwing to CD Lamb across the field, hitting him on the dime. So this is the NFL, man.
Did we just have the athletic guy that can make off-platform throws and get out of the pocket that can't play in the pocket? Yeah, we did. He's in Buffalo, signed for $2.5 million to Mitch Trubisky. That's the exact thing that the New York Jets are getting themselves into. I feel like
if you struggle to process, you said it at the top. This is where Mac Jones, Sean, contradicts what it is you think in Matt Nagy, because he will overstep Matt Nagy's inability to see it. So
that's where I disagree with you right there.
Watch what happens. Watch what happens when you have a guy that's able to understand. It's like, have you been in a professor's class and they made a mistake? Are you the guy that says, I'm sorry, sir, that's wrong? Or you got to sit there, allow it to go and slide, but it was wrong. Mac Jones is an alpha. He is a mother effing alpha, and he will go kill. Boom.
He didn't get he was there with Jalen Hurts and there with Tua.
Every player that has played with all of them, every one of them says, I would play for Mac Jones over all of them. And I have that.
It's public. Yeah, it's public. Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. Ruggs.
If he's an alpha, he should have won the job from Tua if he's an alpha. If you're the alpha, you're but I'm just saying, if you're the alpha,
No. I mean, listen, Alabama's got a lot of alphas that are backing up alphas that are backing up other alphas. That's who you're bringing into Alabama. I mean, he's a 5. Tua's coming in as a 5-star guy. Listen, just as well. Been an Alabama fan my entire life. Did you expect there was a lot of talk that Bryce was going to win the job.
That's what I was just about to say. That's what I was just about to say.
Stayed there, Kenneth. There should be a fucking check mark in his box for staying in the competition.
No.
How many of these guys would bounce?
Whoa. That's a double-edged sword right there. I will put, because you know what, in some situations you may stay there and never get the chance.
Sure.
And you only have so many years to give film to the NFL to come and get you. And so in some situations, listen, with Justin Fields, let me finish. With Justin Fields, it's no way Kirby should have sat there and used Jake Fromm over him. All right, what the hell are you doing? You have to know what you need. You had that defense. You needed a better guy, a guy with a cannon that can get out and get out to the move. So sometimes I'm just pointing out, I believe, and I get what you're saying as far as people that stay there. I do like the fact that he stayed there and I love that he earned what he got from staying there. But in some situations, I don't think staying there is for every player because you may not get that opportunity.
Let me say this, though. You're talking about the New York Yankees of college football. The head coach doesn't play games. He plays the best. So he's going to do what's best for the team. This fucking guy stayed in the competition and won the job, became a national champion, undefeated, has the highest percentage ever, a completion percentage ever in college football history. You're talking about a guy. I'm not.
Who's the Y and the Z? Look, they were stacked. They were.
It doesn't matter. Was Deshaun Watson stacked? Was Deshaun Watson?
He was. You know what?
Was Joe Burrow stacked?
Yes, he has some. I'll say this much: even though with Joe Burrow, I don't even think, and I know that they broke Joe Burrow's record with LSU last year. I would say the talent in Alabama compared to even that LSU team. Now, take receiver out of it, all right? Because LSU has studs at receiver. I would say that the talent in Alabama is consistently but slightly higher than even that offense that Joe Burrow had last year. You know, I would definitely say that. But this too, with the Bryce Young situation, we also have to remember with the pandemic, and I don't think necessarily. I know damn well that Nick Saban knew his best bet to win was to go with the vet. Right, but you're not gonna tell Bryce Young coming in like you ain't got a chance to do shit.
But do you think that would stop him though?
No, that's the guy that
guy at halftime.
No. Listen. Even while I'm detracting from him with talking about the talent that's around him, it takes a superior person to execute at the level that he executed. So that it's not a knock that look, dude, he's not sweet. He's sweet, but there's limitations to the sweetness. I guess I should perhaps point out. But this is my last point with the Bryce Young situation. The pandemic, too, affected who was going to be the starter. Now, I know damn well that it was going to be Mac Jones because Mac Jones got the time to get out there when Tua was hurt. And, of course, Mac Jones and his affinity with these players. But I'm just pointing that out, that the only time that he beat out somebody was a freshman coming in compared to the two guys that was there before.
I played college football. And I've seen competitions play.
What position, Phil? What
wide receiver, slot receiver. Okay. And I played with a bunch of NFL players. Obviously, I wasn't ever going to be a starting receiver. And I thought I was going to the NFL coming out of high school. But then you get to college and you get that wake-up call that everybody's great. But I've watched the competitions play out, and I see coaches pick favorites where I see better talent or I see kids that are in their playbooks. There is always that. I just know and respect Coach Saban to do the right things. And I know those players love Mac Jones more so than anything. And I think that he took his lumps. I mean, there should be an applause for this kind of journey that he took. And then the tape doesn't lie. As our network says, the tape never lies. This guy is the most. I haven't seen a passer this accurate since Andrew Luck. And that is the truth. Every ball, it's like, okay, I don't give a shit. Deshaun Watson had Renfro out there, opens 24/7. He had, Sammy Watkins.
Mike
Williams. He had beautiful talent. That's not what this is about. I'm watching quarterback's fundamentals, his drop back, his footwork. You talk about, look at Tom Brady's footwork. That's why he's 43 playing in the league. You watch
flawless.
You watch Mac Jones, it's flawless. It's over and over. I get to the point where I'm like, I'm looking for someone to watch it with me. Like my wife doesn't know. And I'm like, this kid is so freaking great fundamentally. I haven't even talked about the fucking throwing mechanics and the placement of football. It's like pip, pip, Dante Smith, boop, Waddle, boop. It's just
you're not sidestepping. You're not sidestepping a lot when you poo-poos at left tackle, though. You don't even get the chance to sidestep. I mean, that's my thing.
He's taking shots.
That's what I'm saying. Shots. Like, he's getting blown up if he's in the backfield here.
Mac Jones is taking shots. Don't give me this offensive line was so great. That guard, number 65, I don't even know his name. He's fucking chubby ass. He's missing blocks against Georgia, the first play of the game of the first season. That
happens when you're playing at 365 pounds, man.
Mac Jones takes a shot to the back. He throws an interception, by the way, 1 of 4, and on the season. And he's getting blasted. He picks himself up. This kid is tough as nails. Alabama's offensive line in pass protection isn't the greatest offensive line out there. It is not. I like Leatherwood.
He was not under pressure often this season, Phil.
He's under pressure. He leads a whole college football with passing completions under pressure. So anytime he's hitting pressure,
you know the difference between the pressure, though. Of course, you can sit there.
I'm going to break down his whole tape.
I watch a little tape, sir. I'm not going to put out a highlight. I watch a lot of Alabama. I watch a lot of Alabama football. I'm just saying that compared to a lot of quarterbacks, he wasn't on that type of pressure where you was like, man, this offensive line is trash. That's not the type of pressure.
How many guys in the college football playoff are under pressure? Quarterbacks.
Was Justin Fields under pressure all the time?
I was going to say, listen, Justin Fields was under pressure. Compared to Mac Jones, Justin Fields was under some pressure this year. All right,
I don't know.
Look, the Big Ten really wasn't as strong as what I believed it was going to be at the beginning of the year. There was a couple of times, there was a couple of times where he proved to me how strong he was from some of the hits that Justin Fields took. Listen, even if you look at Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, I still feel like some of the best protection was from Alabama. Again, you're still going to get through. It's the SEC. All right, you're playing against grown ass men when you're playing in the SEC.
This ain't North Dakota State, even though I love their left tackle Reduns at North Dakota State. This is, like you said, the SEC. And I'm telling you, there is a showcase in football called throwing mechanics. And when you're understanding pre-snap read based on what it is you're going, you've alleviated the pass pro. You've alleviated pressure. He's getting open. He's allowing open pressures and standing in it and delivering the football because he understood pre-snap where the leverage concept was or what they were trying to run. There is a marginal community of football scouts that are out there on Twitter and other places that understand pre-snap. He's recognizing coverage and understands where he's going to the football. That should be an A+ right there, because when you get into the National Football League, every defensive coordinator is trying to throw some scheme to make you have to overthink or misfire. This guy is a student of the game like I haven't seen again since Andrew Luck. And thus, to your point, a lot of the non-pressures, he makes his offensive line look so good because it's 1, 2, 3, boom, delivered. It's action game off of it. Slide. The left tackle got beat. The right guard got beat. Slide over to the right, and he delivers. We can't just look at stats and say, well, yeah. I look at the reality. His manipulation of the pocket.
I'm not at all. I'm not
saying you. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying
it's just here. It's here because. But my thing is even with this, and of course, if you're intelligent, you can figure out some things on your own. But the problem still is Matt Nagy's supposed to be the person that raises his game up,
right? And he should have never been hired.
And you kind of made the point that I want to point out. It's all about, and we all know, and Mac Jones is not Tom Brady because Tom Brady's a crazy ass outlier. But using him as the comp, we'll do that today. we know that that's basically how he wins all the time because you can't really trick him. But also, he was lucky enough to play for one of the greatest minds. And even I'll even say this: I don't like Josh McDaniels, but even Josh McDaniels is pretty astute when it comes to calling offenses. All right, but he had that to help him, and he had a hunger, right? But you had someone that could also feed you information to grow that hunger, information that helped and benefited you. I don't think that's here, and I think that would be the problem if he was drafted by the Bears because Matt Nagy can't do anything with this guy. He's going to need somebody that can go ahead.
Kenneth,
real quick.
Can't wait. I want to say this one point. You can't alleviate the student and the best at doing it because your coach is the stupidest substitute teacher. That's wrong because the franchise has never had this at quarterback. They've never had a Russell Wilson who pre-snap comes out, he sees, oh, there's Eddie Jackson down. I know he only comes down and plays this when he's coming. And it's that simple. So now we're going to slide protection there. We're going to run a choice route to the right, and I'm going to friggin' hit the out route, or I'm going to hit the curl coming over it. And it's over and over again because we can't punish ourselves because of the stupidity of the collaboration crew. And that's the reality of the truth. The Ted Phillips, George McCaskey, Ryan Pace, and Matt Nagy are so football dumb. They are. And the reality is they don't know football at its core. They draft potential, just like you're saying, potential. Here, I'm telling you, this is a football player. This is a student of the game, and his mechanics are all there and everything about it. I said, pen it in. Don't even pencil. He's going to Shanahan because Shanahan's the smartest motherfucker in the room that understands I'm getting a guy that he ran a 4.68. This isn't 5'1". I'm slow, Nick Foles. This kid could move.
That's what I wanted to say. I want to play off that right there, Phil, because I think, not everything that's going on with Justin Fields, how he's getting knocked down, and you know how that goes.
It's the worst
because of the complexion of his skin. It's crazy. I think when you're talking about Mac Jones, I think a lot of people that don't like Mac Jones because they look at him and they say, oh, he's not mobile. He's not going to be able to get out of the pocket and make plays.
Fantasy football mindset. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's it comes back to when we were talking about David Montgomery. There's a whole contingent of people out there that go and look at his 86 speed on Madden, and they're like, "Oh, this dude sucks." You know what I mean? And it's never about that. You have to be able to make plays in the pocket within structure. Yes, there's going to be the times. Patrick Mahomes ran for 495 yards during the Super Bowl. Did you know that? Next gen stats with him running around because the offensive line broke down. 495 yards he ran for.
Yeah, that was
hard. Mac Jones isn't going to do that for you, obviously. But all of this being said, Kenneth, where I think you're 100% right, and I think if Chicago had the number 2 pick in the draft or the number 3 pick in the draft, I don't think that they would draft Matt Jones because I don't think Mac Jones is Matt Nagy's quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we've talked about leading up to this, I think it's Fields or Lance. And I mean, there's much more risk with Trey Lance. I love the ability there, but man, he's raw. Like I said, 2-minute drill.
He's going to have to sit.
But then
the problem with that is who's teaching him. So he's sitting.
Exactly.
Who's throwing the football?
That's my point.
This is the thing too. And listen,
you don't have to teach this guy.
If you've listened to,
they all got to get a little education though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dalton, don't sleep on Dalton.
Yeah, if you've listened to our show at all, none of us are Matt Nagy fans, but I will say this, and this is defending him, and I am going to say this.
Oh boy.
He's got to have listen, this plays off of it too. I don't think Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, everybody keeps saying that they're on a short leash. I don't think they are.
We don't believe, none of us believe that. We think this is at least 2 years.
They're operating like they got plenty of time left.
Exactly. And
I'm of the other belief. because I just want that into the universe.
See, you're not watching the tape, Phil. You're not
I'm admitting
unless these guys win 2 or 3 games, and the club dub is these guys are snorting coke off, hooker's ass and clubbed up. Who knows? I'm sorry. Whoa. But I'm just
Shayne, damn it.
Now I got kicked off Twitter.
Shayne took cursing and ran with that.
Yeah. you can we're not live. You can edit that out. But anyways, what I'm saying is unless these guys win 2 or 3 games and you completely Mark Trestman lose the locker room, they're here. So this goes to my point is it doesn't matter. You can have the best offensive line in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, when Tony Romo was there. And how many playoff games did they win?
I'm with you.
You hear those crickets? Yeah, go ahead.
For both of you guys.
Yeah.
What are some of the flaws here with Mac Jones? We've been highlighting all the good stuff. What's the risks with Mac Jones?
Well, it's what we said, you have to bring up the mobility. You have to be able to make off-platform throws because he's gonna see things in the NFL that guys are gonna bring. They're gonna bring different, they're gonna bring stunts and they're gonna try to get him on the move. And it's the biggest thing is the 17 starts. It's the same thing when you're talking about Mitch or when we brought Mitch here. He's seen a lot in the SEC. He hasn't seen everything yet, and he's gonna see. You're not playing. I'm trying to think of a doormat in the SEC. There's not
Kentucky,
too many, right? You're not facing those every week in the NFL. Yeah, Kentucky's got some talent in this draft, though I will say. But
I thought you were going to say with basketball, Shayne.
Oh yeah, but no, that's what it is. The experience is a big part of it, and I know this can get kind of outdated. But you hear Bill Parcells, he wants a guy with 36 starts and stuff like that. And you just don't get that anymore. It's actually pretty rare to get everybody off of that checklist and stuff like that. But it's when you're coming in with 17 starts, it's a problem in the NFL because these guys, you're not drafting Mac Jones at number 3 to come in and sit for a season or
right.
There's people out there that
tried to do that with Mitch. Remember, they said they were going to put Mike Glennon of all. This is what our general manager is selling.
But they might have been able to if they had Andy Dalton then.
Yeah, Andy Dalton
was horrible.
Andy Dalton is an improvement. Here's Mitch Trubisky. Andy Dalton is there, an improvement. Here's Mike Glennon. This is Andy Dalton. It's just I couldn't believe. Ask Shayne when he texted me, dude. They're gonna sign Andy Dalton. Get the fuck out of here! No fucking way. Pardon my language.
Oh, you're talking about you said Dalton.
Well, I'm sorry. Mike Glennon. Rewind that. Get out of here. They ain't signing
the hookers down to a minimum.
Yeah.
Mike Glennon. Oh, but I'll say this, Ryan. Listen,
you loving this man right here now. You about to say I don't have any.
I do.
He's number 2. Listen,
I love this dude because of the tape tells me, oh, how many years have I done this? And I'm like, this guy checks all the boxes except what Shayne is telling you. Those lack of starts.
You can bring the arm strength, but that can be a.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not
me either because his
arm is strong enough.
Look at Tom Brady when he came into the league versus Tom Brady when he was throwing moonshots to Randy Moss. Yeah, you can get stronger there.
Tom Brady at one point had the nicest deep ball in the NFL for a guy that was known not to have an arm. After Carson Palmer got hurt, had the knee that went down, because it was Carson Palmer for a minute. But Tom Brady's deep ball for a guy that was not known to have an arm was sweet for at least 8 years. He was top notch.
That's where your mechanics come into play.
This kid's mechanics.
But he did ask Barry Bonds where did he get his stuff from too.
His mechanics are great. But one last point on this. To go to the hater, I'm talking to you, the troll that's going to hate Mac Jones for whatever reason, because he can't scramble. There is a coaching term, and I'll show it to you when I'm going to break down Mac Jones. In fact, Kenneth, you pushed me, or it was Sean that pushed me over the top and said, that's it. I'm just gonna fucking put this video out, and I want everybody to see. I'm trying to get it done by Friday. We got a big show this Wednesday on Keeping It 100.
Who's gonna be on the show Wednesday?
Wednesday night, we got all of these patrons, subscribers to we have a patron side, which is more in-depth coaches clinic, film study, Ryan. We break down the tape live. We break down these draftable players. We've broken down all these quarterbacks, all of it live with the all 22. We got a touch screen. It's really great. So we have Saturday mornings, me and my father, a former Hall of Fame coach here in Connecticut. We break down offensive linemen in the draft. So we've been going over all the offensive tackles except for the top two, because I don't think we're going to get Slater or Sewell.
No, or Sewell.
So everybody else we've broken down, though. And then on Sundays, me, Shane, and Berlissimo over across the pond, we break down all
Where's
the
Berlissimo at? Where was Berlissimo at?
London.
He's in London. Well, he's outside. He'll get all technical. He'll get all technical.
Right. Shout out to he was coming for me this morning.
Oh, was he?
Friday. Oh yeah, he was coming. If that was Friday, he repped y'all. He repped you. He came out. I had to pull the yamper out though.
Another big Mac Jones fan. We've never had consensus on a quarterback.
Let's
Phil and I
20
plus years doing this.
25 years I've known this guy.
We've never I told you about Deshaun Kaiser, and he's like, no, and he, that we've never had consensus. So this year, and we have Matt Carsonson. We call him Bears Nerd. He's the more analytic, more analytic based than what Phil and I get into, where we pretty much do everything just off tape. We sent out a text, and everybody,
it was
talking
October 28th.
Yep, it wasn't. Yeah, we weren't even in November yet, and to a man, everybody, and we opened them up. It was Matt, all four of us: Berlissimo, Cars, Phil, and myself. Mac Jones.
That's the truth.
That was October 28th. Yeah.
That feeds into what I was kind of going to ask you guys. So we got Lawrence, I'm assuming, number one, and then Mac Jones. Who's that third guy, and how close is Mac Jones to Trevor Lawrence?
I have Lawrence and Jones 1A and 1B. The only reason why I have Lawrence, and I'm doing that fight that I was telling you about, a Hufanga, the safety from USC with a bunch of these other safeties they have high. The Hufanga is just a football player. But anyway, Mac Jones, the more I was cutting North Dakota State's offensive tackle, Ryan Redunds. I was cutting his tape because me and my father are going to break him down. So I go through the all 22. I'm cutting his tape, and obviously Trey Lance is there, the quarterback, and I'm watching. You can't help but watch, the quarterbacks, because we believe the Bears are going to try to trade up and get a quarterback in this draft. That's what we all believe, that Ryan Pace is going to do that. That's what we're going to be prepared for. So
Andy Dalton's not the answer. That's for damn sure.
I just cut Leatherwood's tape from Alabama. So we're doing Leatherwood, Redunds, and we did, what was the other tackle, Shane, this past?
Did you give Tevin Jenkins any love? Jenkins?
That's my number one tackle.
Big fans.
I'm a Tevin Jenkins guy myself.
Let's give the dap, virtual dap.
I'm a Tevin Jenkins guy.
Who also loves him, Washington at 19.
I will fucking go on. I will yoke someone up and fight them for Tevin
We don't
Jenkins.
have consensus within our group.
That's what I want at 20 if it's not a quarterback.
Phil and I
there
are
you
both
go.
Jenkins
Hey,
fans.
that was a question was down the line.
I know.
Okay,
I was going to ask that one
edit
myself.
that later. But let
Phil,
me
give
say
the quarterbacks.
1AB. 1AB.
No, Phil's the sellout with the A and B. Number one is Lawrence. Number two is Mac Jones.
I'm at the
And who's
point.
three?
Wait, I wanted to finish my point on Trey Lance. I just broken down Leatherwood.
You're going to make him 1C.
And then I'm like,
going.
oh my mother. Mac Jones, dime. And then you look at Trey Lance, because I'm looking at Redunds, Kenneth, and I'm like, oh my God, in the dirt, out of bounds, the Mitch Trubisky, like Shane was saying, he's so raw. And I really compared him to Steve McNair. But now,
I've been waiting for that comp.
I stole it from my dad and Matt Waldman.
Matt Waldman, we had him on.
They both said it, but I think that's I go,
I
holy
thought
shit.
but I hope he doesn't sit as long as McNair did.
No. He won't. Listen, if you're moving up
1 year.
Yeah, you got
definitely one.
He's all over the place, but he's so freaking strong and athletic. I could see why you're going to take this kid.
But that's a Nagy guy.
My God, Matt Nagy with him is
what
Kenneth worries about. That's why I'm there. So that's to my point. 1A, I'm almost moving Mac Jones to 1. That's how much I believe. Yes,
he's not alone there. June Jones said if he had the first pick in the draft, Mac Jones all day over Trevor Lawrence.
I talked to
Austin Carter Samuels, same thing.
Austin Carter Samuels.
He's a quarterback coach that works with all of these guys in college.
I love that.
He goes, if I had the first pick, he's like, I'm not sure anybody could talk me off Mac Jones. And when you're talking about him being not to go back on this, but when you're talking about him being an alpha, Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl, said it took about 7 minutes on the field. He's like, I see dudes all day. There's just some dudes that are different. And when Mac Jones walked on that field, every player just gravitated towards him. He said he's different. He's an alpha. And you cannot undersell something like that in a Senior Bowl setting. Exactly. These guys are from everywhere. You know, Devontae Smith is there as the freaking Heisman Trophy winner, wasn't working because he, hurt his ankle and stuff like that. But that counts as a lot. I always bring this up, and I'm not a Mitch Trubisky fan, had a ton of talent. I lost all the respect in the world for Mitch Trubisky 2 off seasons ago when he stood up to the podium and they asked him what he was working on in the off season. And with a straight face, he looked at the camera and he said, I'm reading books because that's what leaders do. And I'm like, oh my, what are you reading? What are your books you're reading about? I'm reading a book about being a leader because that's what leaders do. And I heard that. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. First off, if you're doing that, that's fine. Do I want you to go out there and say it publicly? No, because then you lost me.
You should just be a leader.
You either have it.
It was that book about the rugby team in South Africa.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about that.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
I thought we were going to bring up the Mark Trestman leadership book.
Oh, God. Perseverance. I have that book in my Amazon thing, actually, still. I don't think I ever opened it up.
I talked to a coach today who said, Phil, Mac Jones is the best. College, respected offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. I don't want to say his name. He's going to come on our show. He's going to come on our show, though. That's why. When he comes on our show, you'll know, Kenneth.
Very respectful. I know who he's talking about. But to the rankings, I have Lawrence as my. I mean, if I had the number 1 pick in the draft, I can't move off Trevor Lawrence.
I've moved Fields over Lance.
That's
what I did.
Kenneth and I were talking about this pre-show, and I told him that's where you and I would go Lawrence, I would go Jones, and then I'm going Justin Fields, number 3. I told Kenneth, I don't know if you remember, I had told you before pre-show that Phil and I would be different there because I thought you were going to have Lance at number 3.
That's the first. I was like, after watching.
I think that's the guy. If they're going up, I think that's the dude they want.
I do. And listen, that was why. So Phil, the clip that you responded to, and also my producer sometimes he has to give more context to some of this, even though that clip was fine.
Whoa. Part of this is so that they come watch the show, not for context.
You're right.
Again,
that's why you're an executive producer. You're totally right, sir. I apologize to you, sir. But the real thing was, sir. It was Justin Fields. I said on there, I think the Bears are drafted Justin Fields.
Yep.
I think that was the title of the clip. I can't remember, but that was the title that I think how it's playing out that the Bears are gonna end up drafting Justin Fields. And I'm in line with you. This is the crazy thing. Me and Ryan have been Trey Lance guys for 2 years.
I love Trey Lance.
We've been Trey, but I've said this on the show, the accuracy problems you can see it. Even and again, I mentioned it. I think I was on your show and he did his first pro day.
Yeah.
And it was, dude, when you saw the receivers basically slowing down, when you should change the direction, it was like, dude, it's your pro day. Like, you come on now. So that it's going to take. So I have Fields too ahead of Trey Lance because one Fields played this year too. And the crazy part is this: Fields and Trevor Lawrence wanted college football to come back, right?
Yeah.
If Fields doesn't play this year, there's a better chance he doesn't fall compared to actually playing this year. Because look, Trey Lance didn't even play, and yet some people, as you're saying, I believe, Shay, there's a chance that Trey Lance is going to probably just be off of his potential get traded ahead of Justin Fields when Justin Fields has a lot more tape and played against much better competitors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, listen, there's a Patrick Mahomes upside there, no doubt. When we were breaking down in 2017, I mean, it's on audio, video, everything. I said to Phil, I love Patrick Mahomes, but with me on him, there was zero middle ground. I said, this dude's going to put up PlayStation type numbers or he's going to flame out of the league real fast. That's how I think with Trey Lance, I think that there's a lot of that. I think he's going to listen. Patrick Mahomes sat 15 games his rookie year. And that's important. He had a technician in front of him in Alex Smith. That's important. That's where Andy Dalton is a guy like that can help. I mean, Mike Glennon, the fact that Ryan Pace made the investment in Mike Glennon to be his bridge guy, he was never that, ever. Oh. Never that. I don't even think he thought he was going to be a bridge guy. He was so cloak and dagger. He was so caught up in that whole Toyota Camry,
right? Talk that talk,
all that shit. Yeah.
I found my Drew.
Yeah, but to me, I look at all this. Listen,
I hate him.
So the upside with Trey Lance is ridiculous, but man,
Steve McNair is his upside. I mean, he could be that. He's so muscular, like strong, just through contact. He can
the wrist,
flick it.
Well,
and he's got that kind of.
Sorry, Phil. When we were on Trey Lance, I remember telling this to Ken. I really liked him. Loved the boomer bust, like you're saying, Shane. Definitely felt that. But I was thinking he might be available for the Bears kind of like the teens or something, or late first round, where you would think a guy like that goes.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about you have to trade into the top 5 to maybe get a quarterback.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. We're talking early on, like we told you guys, our conversation that we had, everybody with our network consensus.
We were praying that Mac Jones.
Yeah, we were talking about Mac Jones. We'll just pull the trigger at 20 and we'll be good. We had Paige Demakos from Draft Network on one of our shows, and we were breaking down quarterbacks and talking about the whole thing. And Phil and I brought it up. We're like, we'll talk about Mac Jones. And she, I'm just going to tell you what she said. She's like, nah, everybody here at the Draft Network, this guy's a 3rd round pick. He's going to get overdrafted. And like, boy, we didn't agree with that at all.
We kept it 100 with her, Kenneth.
Yeah, we did.
We don't agree with that at all. We said.
Yeah, we never thought he was a 3rd round pick, but at the time we're like, this is going to be the consolation prize if we don't get Russell Wilson or they don't make the Deshaun Watson trade. We'll be fine with Mac Jones slipping to 20. Now that's not going to happen.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I will be. I told Cars tonight, our buddy Bears nerd. I go, please, God, let him fall. And the only reason is Ryan and Kenneth. Is because I really believe he can be the penicillin to Matt Nagy's stupidity. That's the reality. That I'm serious. I love everything about this kid.
Wasn't brought here to run the I formation. Well, that's what your personnel dictates, asshole. So run it.
Shout out to Adam Hogue at that moment because I tell my boy Mark Grody, I'm like, Grody, get your nose in there and get after this guy because. You
put some respect on Grody's name. No, put some respect on Grody's name.
Grody is my boy.
Grody's my guy. Grody's my guy.
No,
Grody's my guy.
I texted him. I'm like,
ask him about his next time you see him. Ask him his first interaction with Shane and Phil when he first got the Bears beat.
That's my boy, man.
We were on live talking about it, and I do a thing on our show called Dumbest Tweet of the Week, and we'll do the best tweet of the week.
Right.
And I'm like, Mark had just become the Bears guy. When they moved him over.
Sideline, the voice of the Bears on the sideline.
And so I brought him, like, I got to give this new guy, Mark Grody, some beef here because he's the Bears guy. And I'm like, looking back at all of his tweets, and he's not saying shit about the Bears.
Tweeted about the Bears.
Yeah,
for 4 months.
I'm like, geez, I think he had like 6 tweets in like 3 months. And it was something crazy.
So well, then we got after him.
Yeah, we had him on our show where we were at the time, and the guy
got him on the show.
The moderator of the show at the time didn't tell me, so we're talking to Mark. He's like, Mark, I want to play something for you. So he played that segment where I'm throwing Mark in the fire. Big time. We went at him hardcore. And to Mark's credit, and he's the first guy that Phil and I have dealt with that has done this. He's like, you guys did that, and that was like the best thing in the world for me. He's like, every day I think of that. I got to do more. I hear you guys, and totally respected him for it.
That guy more.
Yeah, we love Mark Cody. Yep.
That's why I said I texted.
Rode is a cool cat.
How much respect do you have for somebody who faces the music and says, you know what, I gotta be better. You're right, because I have all these fans all over the world that love the Bears that want to see some nugget out there of the Chicago Bears, and I got to do better. And I made a song for him because that's how much I love him.
Dude, you got to get a hey Ron, you got to get a song gonna open, man. Listen, these guys' game is hard. It's hard over there to Tape Never Lies Network.
Hey, I got a question for you guys, if I can. I want to hear Kenneth and Ryan off of these top 5 guys that they're saying that they can go in the top 10. Who is your next guy at quarterback?
After the 5.
After the 5.
Because
who's the 5? Give them the 5.
Well,
I'm probably going with what's the Stanford kid?
Yes.
Davis Mills.
I'm going with Davis Mills. I was about to say Miller. I'm going with Davis Mills.
Jim?
You know what I'm saying?
That's good because there's fighting words that can come out of this, Ryan. So you're gonna have that added pressure
there.
Yeah, I like Davis Mills. He's definitely up there.
Don't do it, Ryan. Don't do it, Ryan.
Do what you need to do, Brian.
Don't do it.
Don't fall
I
want to like Kyle Trask, but I don't like Kyle Trask.
Oh no.
Okay.
We're not even talking about him. No,
we're worried about Kellen Mond.
Yeah.
Kellen Mond. Yeah, he's not even on my radar. I like Kyle Trask better than Kellen.
Thank you. I like Trask better than Kellen Mond myself.
Oh, I agree. Kellen Mond's got a lot of traits.
Kellen Mond is a 6th-round guy.
Yeah,
that you pick and you hope he gets on the practice squad and it clicks for him, because these people, same thing with this freaking pro day throws.
Yeah, he's got all the tools you want, but there's a big hole in his toolbox.
Watch the tape. I mean, he's got a wide open receiver by 8 yards. He's underthrowing it. It's outside to the left.
To me, if I'm Chicago, and I've said this to Phil repeatedly, it's beyond the top 5. I feel in my heart of hearts they're making a move for Lance or for Fields, whichever one that they can work out. But beyond that, you have those top 5 or Mills. And after that,
you can relax. You may as well. After that, don't even waste one of these picks.
No.
You need to be, and I know we've all said this, that we think they have a more rope than what we expect as far as their jobs, as far as keeping their jobs goes. But if you can't get him, don't even waste it on one of these quarterbacks. Go ahead and fill another position with that.
Yeah.
What about like a 6th-round flyer? They got 4 or 5 of them.
I got a guy from Appalachian State,
no?
App State, Zach Thomas. I just like this kid. I like his, the foundation of where he is. I'm trying to get him on our show, Shane. I reached out to his agent to try to get it. He's Appalachian State, Zach Thomas. Check him out. Athlete, all the things you want. He just needs he needs to grow get a little bigger physically. I'm telling you, he's played in some big game. He almost beat Penn State. Remember that? Kid is an athlete too. He's got the things that Kenneth is looking for. Like he can extend the play very fast. He's got a good arm, not a great arm, but he has great anticipation passing.
Right. Stay away from Jamie Newman. That's another guy that's
we broke Jamie Newman down the other day.
Sam Ellinger is if you're talking
Sam
a late round
Ellinger
guy, is a guy that I would listen if they're in the Davis Mills or if they
Davis
move up
Mills is my number 5 quarterback.
If they move up
over Wilson. Sorry.
Oh, you got a lot of Zach Wilson to slay.
No, we're not.
I'm just saying with the tape. No, but I've heard that. You're not the only person I've heard say these things about Zach Wilson. You're not the first. I've heard people put the alarm out on Zach Wilson.
I was listening to Greeny today. My God, this guy. I'm like,
but come on, he's a Jets guy. You know,
I can't even take this guy. Is he really like? Don't analyze football. Stick to tennis. That's what you should do.
I want to put this out there, and I think it's important. And I mean, if I was ever lucky enough to be calling the shots at Hallis Hall or for any team in this draft, if the Bears draft night go up to 4, go up to 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, and they come away with Lance or Fields, Ryan, to your point, you have those 6th rounders. I'm bringing in another guy. I'm bringing in an Ellinger or somebody like that because you look. I
don't know if Ellinger will be there.
Well, I mean,
totally agree.
Yeah, you're never going to change. I always have to laugh when people are like, "Oh no, build the team, and then go get the quarterback." Kenneth, you had a guy on the Under Center podcast today that essentially said that the Bears got to go offensive tackle at 20, and then they can worry about the quarterback later. No, that's your top 3 priorities in this draft are go get a quarterback, try to go get another quarterback, try to move up again, try to move up again. That's your top 3 options for me on draft night. You can't getting the quarterback later is why the Chicago Bears get 0 respect nationally because they don't deserve it because they're inconsistent. They've never had stability at quarterback. I mean, listen, we love our fans that follow us at TTNL.
100 crew. What up?
Yeah, the 100 crew, everything. But Bears fans are so blinded. Listen, I love Roquan Smith. Love the dude. Do you think he would prevent me from throwing him in a deal for Russell Wilson? I'd drive his ass to Seattle, and I love. But
put him in Mitch's Camry.
Exactly. But there's people out there that are. I'm like, dude, you're worried about an off the ball backer when you're talking about Russell Wilson. No, you gotta
fix the position. That's most important.
Matt Nagy can't come into play. None of that. You have to. If you see a quarterback there, you have to go get the quarterback and worry about everything else later. Because I will say this about the Bears. They've been through a ton of turmoil. That's self-inflicted at quarterback, bringing in Nick Foles. And the thing about it is that drives me, they get talked about like they're a 2-win football team. They've been a 500 football team with all of the craziness that they've went through with 0 stability at quarterback, and they still went 8-8. Is that you have to give a little bit of love to Matt Nagy about that? Because you know what? The players haven't turned on him.
They haven't.
We had David Montgomery on a couple of weeks ago, and we brought up, his handing off on first down. He pops it for 80, and then he touches the ball 10 more times in the game. He's like, "Hey, I don't call the plays. I just run them." But you could see that it bothered him because he's a competitor, and it's ridiculous that Matt Nagy would ever put him in that position. Dude, you have an 80-yard run. You're touching the ball 10 more times that game. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's the BU. You're looking at this too much than worrying about everything else on the outside.
The Denny's diner menu. He's so caught up in it. He doesn't understand. You
got to give him the ability. If Matt Nagy gets his young quarterback, I don't want to say that Nick Foles isn't his guy. That's just that he was a quarterback that knew the system, all blah, 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 all that stuff. I think that maybe it's a slight chance. I think that there's a chance if Matt Nagy gets his hand-picked rookie quarterback that he's studied and brought in, I think he has the ability to change as a coach. I do.
That Davis show right now, lucky to have Phil Ottochian or Phil Lotion, but Phil, because I'm gonna get Phil Ottochian and Shayne Marshall. I want to say is that Davis show.
Everybody puts that H in there. Marsaw.
I did it right the first time. I believe Marsaw.
I messed you up.
I want to say it's on me. I want to say this is that Davis show, but I should just say it's keeping it 100 with me and Ryan are guesting You know what? And also, always remember, you can check these guys out every Wednesday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. You see they're full of knowledge and content. I had a good time joining on with these guys. They'll be back here in the future. One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was how much is too much for the Bears to trade to move up for you.
Phil, we just had this conversation, and I think, listen, it depends on the Bears get pushed aside. Listen, Kansas City went from 27 to 10 the year that they drafted Mahomes. So moving from 20 to 14 isn't, or to 4, excuse me, if it's Atlanta, it
could be Atlanta, it could be.
This is what it's going to cost you. So let's just say it's Atlanta at 4.
Mm-hmm.
You're given number 20 overall. You're given your 2022. You're given your 2023. And you're given a 2022 third.
Okay.
If Atlanta called Ryan Pace draft night and said, that's the deal, you have 30 seconds, non-negotiable, I would sign immediately. Yep.
I would too. That would be about enough to where I would want to go. What about you, Phil?
I'm all in on. I'm not the capologist. I'm the fuck a cap guy because I believe it is manipulation and collusion.
Oh, it is, but it still matters too.
It doesn't really matter because they can manipulate it. Again, it does, but it really doesn't because they can manipulate.
If there's a player that you want, you can go get him. But
exactly, no matter what, they can get anybody they want if they structure it and there's a mutual interest. Now we're going to push that money in the future. But when it comes to draft capital, a lot of people, oh my God, first round picks. Oh my God. For me, no, because this guy has shown me he can't make first round picks. So hopefully, Matt Nagy, you, as much as I hate this, Kenneth, I hate even saying this and putting this into the universe, Ryan in Arizona. The fact of the matter is, if this coach has identified the quarterback that he wants is there at 4 and he's willing to trade what Shayne is, then that's what you got to go with because it's not fantasy football on NBC Sports.
You want to give NFL. More of the future picks because where it's vital, where it is critical is you have to try to construct a deal where you keep your 2 and your 3 this year.
You got to get that offensive line.
You have to,
and this is a deep tackle draft.
It is.
I love the tackles.
If you're going Justin Fields at 4, I don't care about a cornerback. I don't care about a wide receiver. You're going offensive line, and you know what?
We're all on the same page.
I'm not against them doubling it up on it.
I was about to say, go get another. Go get another in the third round.
Get a fucking center too, right there in the third round. Get the best center.
If they came away with Justin Fields and
Jalen Mayfield
in the second round, and then Creed Humphrey in round 3 if he was there.
Dances in the street.
Oh man,
Creed Humphrey.
I won't bring it up again, but we'd be doing that club dub thing, right? Yeah.
I definitely will dance. If that was the draft, I will dance on the show because we're going to cover.
That being said, I think
draft
Humphrey's going to go a lot higher than round 3, but that to me is the blueprint. If you can come away with 2 offensive linemen and a quarterback like that, but you're pushing away future assets, sign me up today.
So wait, real quick, Phil. Sam Mustipher's not the answer at center.
Listen, Sam Mustipher came in and showed me the disposition to play the position. However, he's sloppy and out of shape and not physically strong enough at the point of attack yet. That doesn't mean I know he's working with Olin Kreutz. So is my boy Dieter Eisland, who has the right temperament. Have you ever heard of Dieter? He played at Yale. He became an All-American offensive guard at Yale. This kid's disposition, he played organized football for 1 year, got a full ride to Yale. He went to Choate, Rosemary Hall here in the next town over where I grew up in Wallingford, Connecticut, where Angelo. and went from Choate to Yale, became an All-American offensive guard, but COVID happened, so he wasn't able to play in preseason. But his tape and his athleticism, he was a rugby player, a star rugby.
Remember that name.
I think I have seen his story.
Remember that name.
He came on our show.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's working with Olin Kreutz.
They've been working out
Alex Bars
on the interior.
Sam Mustipher, and they've moved Dieter to center, which I am excited about because Dieter is here.
He's a dog.
Graduate from Yale, right?
Yeah.
But here as well as being smart, he's a fucking maniac. I'm telling you, this guy has the disposition.
You gotta see this dude's hands, biggest hands I've ever seen in my life.
He has his hand up against the logo of my shirt here. It's the whole logo.
It's
his hand.
Looks.
I'm like, holy.
It doesn't even look.
I'll send you the picture so
okay.
you can see it. You got to see. He took a picture of him wearing our hoodie. And his hand is up like this or something, and it's nuts. The whole bigger than the logo on the sweatshirt. Yeah. I go, look at the fingers look like Chicago sausages.
Sam Mustipher is worth moving forward with, but he can't.
Exactly.
Sam Mustipher isn't good enough to prevent you from capitalizing in the draft. And that's what Chicago has done. Chicago has always said, like, I love Darnell Mooney. Don't get me wrong, but Darnell Mooney even isn't going to prevent me from adding another.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's
definitely.
That's where Bears fans are so.
Oh, we already got
ignorant because we got Darnell Mooney.
In this draft, listen. In this draft too, you take a flyer on a. No, I'm
write the name down. Write the name down. Jalen Darden, North Texas wide receiver.
Write it
down. Go check
and,
that dude out.
And magic marker, double it, like rainbow it.
Jalen Darden.
The kid is an unbelievable talent.
Nuts.
He worked with our friend of our show, Rashad Whitfield, the footwork king. Darden out of North Texas. Check this kid out. He's actually in the rap video that I'm producing. I put a clip of him because I want people to see this kid. I'm like, he jukes the crap out of this DB. Like, it looks like young Wes Welker. Just and the guy just fall. Oh my God. I'm like, this kid is going to be a star. But yeah, what was that? Mustipher. I want Sam to do good, but Shayne hit it out of the park. That's exact. This offensive line needs some personalities that are alphas. We have
mentalities.
We don't have the guy that's pointing the finger in the freaking Packers face and this is football. This isn't freaking soccer. And let's give everybody an award after we've all played. We need some dogs out there. And the last time you did have dogs, you won. You had Reuben Brown, Olin Kreutz, John Tate. You guys were able to run the football, pass,
put Fred Miller in there. If you're going to talk
Big
about
Fred
Olin.
taking black eyes.
I was thinking about that this morning, ironically.
Roberto Garza. You had dogs. You knew at least you're going to go out there and you're going to be in a fight. Without this line, I mean, as bad as the quarterbacks played, this offensive line's attitude alone in assignments has been bad. So we did a mock draft, Kenneth, real quick. All the quarterbacks went off the board. So we ended up taking offensive tackle, Eichenberg with the 20th pick, or we traded back. We ended up getting another second. We took Eichenberg at like 28. Then we took Leatherwood in the second round, and then we took Creed Humphrey with our second round pick. We had 3 offensive lineman faces, and we rebuilt that, and then we ended up getting a quarterback in Davis Mills in the third round.
Yeah,
this was a few weeks ago. But
that's
how we attacked the draft. So this Wednesday, we're going to have all these patrons, Kenneth, on Keeping It 100. They're all going to be a GM of their team. They have 3 minutes. They're going to come on live on the air, the whole 9 with me and Shayne. They're going to make their selection for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to ask why they did it. Fans are going to be grading it. We're going to have grades. So hopefully you tune in, check in. Maybe we'll pull you on the show to give your thoughts on the Bears pick, because we have a special guy selecting for the Chicago Bears, one of our patrons, Spencer Strong. I remember when you were on and we were doing shout outs, we dedicate our shout out segment to his family, but his son is struggling. He's a toddler here with brain
2 years
cancer.
old. He's got brain cancer.
Brain cancer. So it's been up and down for this family. So we always have the Spencer Strong segment. So his dad's coming on the show finally, and he's going to make the selection for the Chicago Bears. I hope he don't mess it up.
So I told him, I said, we understand what you're going through, but these fans will still come after you, bro.
Definitely. So and it's funny, just even with that, just want to give people just a taste of what these gentlemen do and how them and their collective it's dope. Just from the little time, it's definitely dope. It's huge too, guys. If y'all, it's big. All right. You may not think it's big. All right. You see some of the guests who they get, you see the connections that they have. Listen, to be honest with you, I have about 5 questions, but you guys have kind of answered them already throughout the chat. So what I want to get into now is about you two. Like, one, how did you guys come together? You know, how did this all start and why did it all start?
It started way back in dial-up days.
Bear Report used to have message board way back in the day. Remember the Bear Report magazine?
Yeah. AOL Instant Messenger?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about that.
Yeah.
AIM, baby.
You're online.
Yeah.
you are online.
Put it this way. When you go into the Bear Report forum, the banner was Rashaan Salam. So that was how long and I was a huge Rashaan Salam fan. I was so happy when they drafted him. Yeah.
He fumbled a lot, but
that's where
we met on a message board.
Yeah.
And then another message board happened, and I was at Hofstra, and I grew up a Bears fan because my father was a football coach. He's like, "What position do you want to play?" When you get older, I said running back, and he popped in this VHS because my uncle was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Sam Rutigliano, and everybody's like, you live in Giants and Jets country. There was not a fucking single. I knew one kid's family was a Patriot fan. Nobody was Patriot fan here in New England. That's the true story back then. And everyone was Giants and Jets fans. And my dad, the Browns, and my uncle, my dad's teammate, Larry Pasquale, was coaching with the Jets. So everyone was trying to make me something. My dad, to his credit, was a Giants fan. He didn't put that on me. He's like, what do you want to play? I said, running back. He put on the tape. It was Billy Sims, Tony Dorsett, Franco Harris. I remember it. And I go, I was just going into the 3rd grade. I said, that number 34. He's like, that's Walter Payton. He plays for the Chicago Bears. I became him every time we played Kill the Man with a Ball. And, I'm Walter Payton. And that's how my loyalty just grew from there. Just the Bears. And then everybody in the Connecticut knew, or my town, I knew everybody because my dad was the head coach. And our high school football team, that's the colors. Look, right there. That's my jersey.
Let me jump in real quick. 6 degrees of separation. Do you know who's a business partner and also a co-host with Jared Payton?
No.
Sean Davis.
Oh,
6 degrees of separation.
There you go, Sean.
They're buddies. They're close buddies.
I was supposed to, on the old network, meet with Jarrett because I loved his father. I actually ran the Walter Payton Hill. They made this big thing, and this freaking guy screwed us over. But that's a whole nother story. But then the message boards, that's how I became a Bears fanatic. So I'm at Hofstra, and I'm like, holy shit. You can get online and read about your team. The computer, now internet, Chicago Tribune. I would go every day to the computer lab to read the latest on the Bears or whatever. And that's where, now I can go into this message group, and there Shayne was again. And he's like, you got to come over to this other message. And then we were there, and that's where we met our other guy, Cars, and it grew. And then I started writing and doing this stuff, and I wanted Shayne to do it with me. And I'm like, come on, you got to do it. He's like, no. So I ended up begging him to do it. And I'm like, we're going to do a podcast, because he didn't want anything to do with the writing and that's where I was going at first. And I saw the light. I'm like, fuck writing. It's podcasting. So I ended up stupidly going to USA Today for a quick minute and doing Bears stuff with Bears Wire. And then I came back to podcasting. Shayne had already got his feet wet. And then we started building something special there at the old network. We don't even name this network because they screwed us over there. So what ended up happening, we built this huge fan base to begin with in this old network, Kenneth, and the guy screwed us over. That's a true story without the details, but I'll just take it on my word. So Shayne and I said, you know what, we're going to pick up and do what we're going to do and build our own network. Shayne do it our way. And to Shayne's credit, he's like, dude, you do this video series, Draft Dr. Phil's The Tape Never Lies. It gets 80,000 views. Let's call our network The Tape Never Lies Network. I go, yeah, that is a great idea. He's like, why do you think they call me the smartest man? So September 1st, 2020, we kicked off the Tape Never Lies Network. The old network deleted all my work, Kenneth, all those years of work that we did. They screwed us over. They could try to play it any way they want and try to save face, but that's the truth. So it left a terrible taste in my mouth. And Shayne and I built this thing up from scratch. I do the tape breakdowns. We do these live shows. We have a patron side and we do live shows there. So
how can someone get to the patron side real quickly?
It's www.thetapeneverlies.com. So all one word. The Tape Never will take you to our patron. There's a $7 a month subscription. It turns out to be 23 cents a day, but you're getting all this live content as well as all the content that we put out there privately, these coaches clinics and these film breakdowns using the tape. Obviously the drawing it up. Barlissimo does a lot of that on his side with the touch screen. If somebody's, new and just learning, I do every week I break down the offense for free on the YouTube side of the quarterback, the offensive line, the running back. And then on the patron side, I do the offense and the defense, and I break down both sides. So everybody gets, so it's almost like 40 minutes of me quickly going through this to hip hop beat. I do it my way. I don't do it like somebody else.
Can you imagine this dude talking for 40 minutes by himself? I'm sure you guys got to be shocked, right?
Right, yeah. I bet it must be hard, right?
Hey, I do it over the tape and I'm breaking it down. I actually talk very fast in those things because I do it all in one takes. I have to watch the play, say it, go to the next play. It takes a long time, obviously, to cut up tape to show. I call myself the narrative crusher, the notorious Draft Dr. Phil, because I've saved so many people in arguments about Khalil Mack. There was a narrative that he sucks, he's overrated, and I just put out a tape and said, fuck you all, watch and watch the tape. And here he is just destroying game plans all by himself and not hitting PFF's grades and scores because he's not on the stat sheet, but he's totally taken over and helped his team in a team sport. So that's what I do. And Shayne and I use our creativity. We do all original music on our network, hip hop and parody songs, and a lot of fun. It's an adult show every Wednesday night, keeping it 100. Nothing, as you heard Shayne with the hooker, nothing is off the table.
That's
there.
Like an inside thing that we've been saying. I should have known better, but that's like a thing we've been saying for years on the stuff.
Listen, we don't look down on anybody. If you want a little blow off of the hooker, it's business.
No judgment here.
Grown up. Yeah, this is a no judgment zone right here.
Right.
So we have a lot of fun over there. Our Wednesday night show, as you said, we have the 100 crew. I can't thank them enough. And it's all over the world. It's been overwhelming how people are so proud of where they represent the Bears, from Brazil to
it's crazy.
The Netherlands
and then you just tell me Barlissimo's in England.
He's in England, yeah.
Dude, we had a guy from Korea come on the show with us. There was a dude in Afghanistan, people in Kuwait, and I'm like,
Kuwaitis. We had
Bears
a guy
fans in Kuwait. I'm like, you got a lot of stuff to worry about there.
Mike, my boy,
worry
Mike,
about the Bears.
my boy Mike in Japan did a victory dance for us after the Bears won a big game. It's crazy. So we also do a live post-game show during the season, that's probably our biggest show because everybody checks in to see what I'm gonna freaking rant about because I throw down
people in the chat room live after. It doesn't matter if they win or lose. It's crazy.
It's fire. So it's called Bears Hour Live. That's that show right after the whistle blows. It's like, okay, you ready? And I'm like, I go into a zone. I'm like, just introduce me, and then I just fire away.
Our wives and families don't see us during the game, and then as soon as it's over, they don't see us for another 2 hours or we're doing BHL.
That's it. My wife has learned now. We're saving for Disney. That's what I keep telling her.
Right.
We have those twin boys. I was like, okay, but we're saving for Disney, honey. That's what we're doing. So
Phil and I have known each other for so long. When we piss our wives off, they always say, well, why don't you go talk to Phil? Why don't you go talk to Shayne? That's the point we're at.
Why don't you break down some of that tape?
Exactly.
Why don't you have him go break down that tape? Yeah.
Why don't you break down the tape, Shayne?
Oh my goodness. Wait. Also, too, now you was talking about a rap career too. All right, wide out, break down the rap career before we get out of here, man. Because one thing I have noticed is that you love hip hop.
I love hip hop.
Yeah, you love hip hop.
I'll say this.
Tell them who you opened for. Tell them, then that'll legitimize it right there.
I opened up for De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Special Ed. I opened up for. So I was 1992, 93, I was playing football at Hofstra University, and the seniors, instead of initiating me, they heard that I rapped. And they're like, oh my God, this little Italian kid can rap. So they wanted to embarrass me. It was Halloween night during that season. I was a freshman, so it was 92. And they threw me on stage with this reggae band, this live band. Now, I had already I had a rap group in high school. I started rapping in middle school. I went to the Long Island football camp. I met Heavy D, and I played against Heavy D. He stuck me. I was a freshman. He was a senior. Heavy D. We played at Money Earned in Mount Vernon, and I was hanging out with these guys, and they were just, all about the beats and everything like that. I was hooked. I just loved it. So anyway, as I got into Hofstra, football, that's it. So they pushed me up on stage. Long story short, I perform. I asked the guy, do you know Sade's Sweetest Taboo, to this Rasta man? He goes, he just took the bass and played the bass line like it was nothing. So now the drummer gets into it, and I'm telling you, son, adrenaline came into me, and I just tore the house down. Like, everybody couldn't believe it. So after, there's all these A&R reps at Hofstra. They had a nightclub on campus, so it was huge. I'm talking, it was the size of like 2 clubs.
Okay.
And they had 2 bars. It was crazy. And they had a huge stage, and they had KRS-One would come up there. So many artists, Weird Al, Madonna even came up in there. So it was a huge stage. I performed. I blew it up. I come off. The football team's throwing me up and down. I get it down, and I call the crossroads. These 3 A&R reps or whoever they were telling me, giving me cards. They're like, you got to call me. You got to call. And I took this 2 cards or whatever. CNC Music Factory dude was one of them. The other one was this kid, Tic Tac. And Tic Tac lived down the street. He was known that he was a producer to Public Enemy, Professor Griff, Black Mob, Main Source, I guess, had some beats with it. So he was telling me all these groups, leaders of the new school, were working with him. So I was like, okay. So I go over there, hit it right off. We became such close friends. I started performing, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving you the long story. I'm sorry. I signed. We
want the long story.
We did a demo. Now at this time, I had a radio program at Hofstra at night. I was going for communications, and it was hip hop and sports. So I would just play hip hop music that they had there. Those huge, and they had the freaking thing that you put in. I forget what it's called, the track, and you'd play the commercials and the movies. They would send them to you, and then you'd come in, and I learned everything on the go. And then I started getting kids demos, and I was playing them. In fact, I was the first person to play Wu-Tang Clan's album over the radio. I was the first person to do that. I played their demo. A friend of mine, Tito Torres, he was a quarterback at Nassau Community College. He ended up going to the University of Miami. He gave me their demo. I played it on the air, and everyone's like calling the station, like, who is that? So anyway, I'm doing my thing at that point, and I respected everybody. So I wrote these 2 songs. I blew it up there. I was Sade, and I carried that, and we got signed. I performed. The A&R reps loved me at this record label that was an Offset. I forget whether they were like Atlantic Records, and G Street was under them. It was something like that. I don't even remember. So the story goes like this. They love me. I'm performing. They sent me out to try to see how audiences would handle me, and I would kill it all the time. It didn't matter who was in the audience. I went to an all Jamaican club in Queens, and I just blew it up to the extent where the headliner was Rumpelstiltskins. I don't know if you remember them. They had one hit. They should have led with their hit. They ended up going after me. I did one song, and the whole crowd started chanting my name to come back. And
what was your name? What was the rap name?
MC Fulfill. MC Fulfill. Yeah. MC Fulfill. So fulfilling. People will be yelling fulfilling. So that kind of stuff. But I went by MC Fulfill. Anyway, so I signed with G Street. I was helping PM Dawn. Do you remember them?
Baby, you send me? Yes, I remember PM Dawn.
Baby, you send.
That was my jam.
I was in there with them, helping them. I was like, listen, you got to use the whole. Anyway, it's a lot. Me and you will have to catch up on that. Because
all right.
So they sent me out, tested me, signed me to a single deal. Remember the double cassette? You get one side and a second track on the other side. So that was the deal. We signed that on a Friday. I was with Tic Tac. He was setting up all these performances. He knew everybody. Q-Tip told me, you're gonna be the next whatever. I'll never forget it. Backstage, I blew it up, and this dude Tic Tac took the advance money, gave me $2,200 or $2,000. I forget what it was. It was the most money I ever had in my hand on a Friday. And we were going to go because the advance money they give you, and then you have to pay it back to go record in their studio. Because we had the demo. He had this studio at his house, but this was 1993 or 93. So they want it done in their studios down on Broadway. I'm like, all right, next week. I told the coach, I gave up my spot on the football team and everything because I was going this way. I had to tell my father and everything. It was crazy. And
what'd your father say when you told him?
He was disappointed. He's like, I want you to stick with football. I know you love this, but that'll always be there. You'll always have. You never. So he tried to talk sense into me, and I was convinced that I was going to make it. Everybody, and I performed, and I just felt really good about it. And this dude took the money and bounced to Trinidad. I never saw him again. So we were there on the cusp of a Friday, Manhattan. I'll never forget it. Who ended up going to some restaurant down there afterwards, celebrating. His family was close to me. They lived down the street from Hofstra. I never saw him again. I went to the house. His mom's like, she was from Trinidad, so she spoke broken English. I don't know where he is. Like, and I couldn't get a hold of him. He just bounced. So the record label then coming after me for all this money that they gave us in advance. And my father ends up having to get a lawyer to help me with that. So it soured me on the music industry. I ended up having to leave Hofstra because I left, and I had concussions and stuff too. That was really the big impetus for me to make that move. But I was there, man. And I was proud of that. And it just went through my fingertips. And then I was doing it again. And it went through, I ended up getting hurt on the job. I had a traumatic brain injury in 2009. And yeah, that was crazy. That took me out of the game of music again. So now, as I was telling you, at 47, Shayne and I told him, I go, this network has got to be based about hip hop, the Bears, and football. And that's what we do. And we have fun with it. We have parody music, and I sing and make these parody songs about Matt Nagy and Trubisky or whatever it is, like Nightmares of Matt Nagy with the, what was the name of that band? Nightmares of Matt Nagy. Empty sets on 3rd and 3. What is that?
that song's real big. That song's real big in Trinidad.
Yeah, I'm sure.
TikTok is jamming his ass.
TikTok. If you're ever out there, TikTok, please just pick up the phone. My wife's like, you could have been Eminem before. She's like, but you never would have met me. You never would have met me. You would have been. I go, everything happens for a reason.
Right. I was going to say, we wouldn't get you here.
Yeah.
You had that away. And I think you guys provide an excellent service. I want to harp on this. The community that you guys have built is something. And it's really something, the community. Just when you guys talking about, your Patreon subscriber who's going to be joining you, unfortunately, with the son that is ill. Just you can get a vibe that these guys really care. My last thing, again, with 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Guess whose close friend was a close friend of Five Dog since you had Q-Tip?
Oh my God, not Sean again. Sean, my boy.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good show, man.
I can't wait to have Sean. Shout out to you, Sean, for bringing this together. Actually,
yes, he definitely did. He's a good
Let me
bro.
just keep it 100. I love Kenneth Davis. Obviously, Ryan. I'm just meeting you tonight, and I appreciate it. To come on here with my partner, Shayne. We have a blast. And Kenneth, when you came on the show, true story, it's like I didn't want the conversation to end, but we had another guest, and it was like we had Rashid Davis. We had both Davises on that night, I remember. And it was like, Kenneth, I was just so vibing with in regards to Matt Nagy, because we see everything the same. And that's where we keep it 100. That's the whole premise of the show. We take on all the narratives and all of the drama, and we kind of just say what the truth is. And I think that's what,
no matter whether it's hard to, sometimes the truth is hard to say.
I've messed up and made mistakes.
Yeah.
A Bears fan or a father, husband, we talk about it all. I was talking about, I shave my legs. I don't do it with a straight edge razor. We are sponsored by Manscaped. So I was saying, I take that Manscaped thing. I'm not just trying to promo them here. I'm just telling you, like, there's no, because Claudio, our moderator, he's like, I can't believe you told everyone. I go, I don't give a shit. It's like, this is my truth. Like, I'm going to hide from anything. It's just not, I do the tape just like we do the show. We try to keep it 100 on every level. I think there's only been 1 or 2 times where we kind of held back from saying something only because of the effect it might have on somebody's family. Yeah. That's the only, we do have some morals.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple in there. They're buried down deep. But
we'll have to have
you just got to keep a couple of healthy restrictions.
Yeah, exactly.
Ryan, you'll have to follow me. I only do Facebook and Instagram. That's a whole nother story. But so you'll have to, if you do Instagram, give me a follow. we'll have to get you guys on, bring your show on our show.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. I love you. I met you through Sean Sierra, and he's a brother.
Kenneth just wants that next intro that we do up for him.
Oh yeah,
one of the special intros.
I got to get one for my own show.
Yeah.
Listen,
you can always play your intro.
I think you inspired Ivan to make one on Sean and Maya for me, to be honest with you. But nothing. And listen, I showed the old lady that last week. She was like, that's nice right there. That was nice. I was like, you gotta check these guys out. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because I tell everybody about you all. All right.
Love it.
I tell everybody about you all because I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And so I want other people to know. But outside of just the content being top notch, but like I said, the camaraderie is a thing that I want to harp on, because just coming on your show once, I felt a great sense of camaraderie, and I think we all know we all need a bit more of that right now. And that's what I really said. So I definitely appreciate it. I'm happy that this did, because I've just been slacking with actually me and Ryan have been slacking with booking guests because things have just been so busy. So I'm happy this happened, because just to get the ship rolling again, to have you two gentlemen on has been fantastic, and also just have another time to talk to Shayne. Man, you guys keep it up. I don't have to tell you that. And I'm not even just saying this because you're here. I think, and I've only known you briefly, but I think y'all affect people. You know, like that's the thing, in a positive manner. Like, you know, from doing sports and stuff, like people need that. You know what I'm saying? Where, 100%. Because one thing too is this, and I think you guys get this. Definitely, you want to be accurate with the information that you're passing about, but also you better entertain me and make me laugh. All right, because I don't like. I need you better bring something here like that. Anytime that I've done anything on radio or whatever, it's cool to have all the stats and everything like that.
Exactly.
But if you don't bring some levity to the situation, why am I going to hang out with you? Because this is basically, and that's one thing with when you're watching that, you're breaking down X's and O's, but people are hanging out with you for the music, for the jokes, for the football IQ stuff. It's just so that's one thing I want to just. Hip hop legendary.
Hip hop legendary. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I wish I could go back, but we go forward. We will drop a new hip hop track. I did hire and sign on our network a musical producer, and my boy Cool Kennedy. I gotta shout him out on your show.
Amazing.
This dude is a talent and a friend. I don't know. I'm living in a different dreamland. I told my wife, I've met some great, like I would go give my kidney for people in this. And that's you too, Kenneth. I appreciate your kind words.
I believe it's genuine, and it's right back at you, bro.
It is
you can
genuine.
feel it. Yeah, it's definitely. Ironically, I used to be like, damn, man, does Phil not like me? Because why am I not getting these interviews with Sean with Phil on there, right? I'm like, where the hell is Phil at? All right. But then, listen, because with me from having shows, I'm like, is that man's show? And I'm not dissing Sean. Sean's my guy.
Right.
My guy. But it was like, damn, I want to be back on there with Phil. So when you first hit me up, like, yeah, dude, we was vibing. I was like, I thought we was vibing. Right.
Yeah. I called him the former Buffalo Bill running back, Kenneth Davis.
I thought when he left Buffalo, where'd he go, to the Jags or the Carolina? He went to, I think the Jags. I thought he was going to do something, and it was just, those years behind Thurman Thomas, it took everything up out of him. Oh man, I used to watch it like, that's
28.
Yeah, my dad, me and my dad sit there and be like, yeah, there go your cousin, right? Like that was the joke. But yeah, I never forget that, man. Good little change of pace back, but when he got the full workload,
no, that's different world. That's a different job classification, is the elite runner. That's what we have in Chicago. Those haters, get at me. I'm fine with it. I like a good debate, and I do know that the one thing I do know is this game of football, because I love it so very much that I have to. I can't shut my mouth. As Shayne knows, he gets me. I'm like his junkyard dog. Did you hear what Kenneth said? That's all it takes.
The only time I get to talk, Kenneth. It wasn't that thing.
I'm ready to take on Adam Johns. I'm ready to take on all these guys.
Yeah,
I'm like,
come on. That's the best part about it. We don't listen. We do it because we love. we've built the base of what we've done because of interactions like that. We're not gonna, we love Kenneth Davis. That doesn't mean that we can't disagree with you on something,
Exactly.
And there's so many people that just want to blow sunshine and rainbows up the other dude's ass.
Keep it 100.
It doesn't work that way, man. It doesn't work that way, and the listeners, they'll see right through it.
I was on another show, and they had a guest on the show, and he talked about David Montgomery, and it was so wrong. I can't help. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let down every voice that I've, curated to understand why, if I don't say something in that moment. It's just embedded in me as a coach that I'm never going to allow someone to write a false narrative on somebody who's busting their ass and doing it the right way. That's why I have no qualms calling out some of these media types that stick their nose up in the air and say, I'm not going to go on with Phil and Shayne because I'm afraid, like Jeff Dickerson. I don't have any respect for that. That's the truth. That's the truth. So
he's not the only one.
So
I'm here. Hey, I'm in the city, guys. Relax a little bit. All right, I'm in the city.
I'm waiting for Adam to come. Adam Hogue, true story, real quick. I'm covering the Bears for Bears Wire at the time down in New England. And that's a whole nother story. Shayne, we'll tell that one another time. But my phone, I had an older phone and it was dying. And I recognized Adam. I was so green as grass writing and being around these beat guys. You really get to see the clicks and all the bullshit of how they handle themselves. Adam was 100% class. He said, I go, hey, my phone's dying. Do you mind if I borrow you? Absolutely. Came over. My wife was with me. He plugged in my phone to his charger. Those little things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He showed the kind of integrity and class. And then, as I was saying earlier, I kind of, I think Ryan asked a question at that point. I wanted to say Adam was the one who held Coach Nagy's feet to the fire about that whole I formation. Well, Coach, you're averaging 8 yards per play within the I. Why would you then say that you don't come in? So that's the kind of stuff I know. I speak for a fan base that's smarter than Matt Nagy, George McCaskey, Ted Phillips, and Ryan Pace believe they are. So when you come out there condescending to them, as yes, the meatballs might be calling the radio station, but there's 750,000 other people that say, why am I going to call the radio station? I'm so fed up. That's who I'm speaking for when I do a show or I confront some of these guys. So that's really where we are. And I honestly, I know I talk a lot, but Shayne, I can't thank this guy enough for, always, he was the one who pushed me. You got to do the music, man. That's your talent, man. That makes us different. So every great team has great players surrounding the great players. Every great organization has smarter guys.
And it doesn't make him a shitty quarterback, Kenneth, Mac Jones.
Look, listen. Make sure you follow Shayne right now till he gets his Twitter back. I
don't think it's ever going to happen.
TTNL Network, Tape Never Lies Network. You heard Phil. You can find him on Facebook, but on Instagram, you can check him out in his lovely family at Phil_Ottochian. Listen, you guys, I definitely appreciate it. Love to you guys. Be safe out here. One thing too, I'll say this, and I think it's what you were getting to. You treat everybody the same, regardless of if they're somebody at the top or somebody that someone else views as being at the bottom. You treat everybody the same, and you try to remember that. Even if sometimes you get a little smoke blown up your hoo-ha, you got to remember to calm yourself back down, and that you're a human being and you treat everybody the way that you would want to be treated. And I think that's part of what you were trying to get into, because I know that's kind of how I try to move and work, as far as, man, it's so many people have done so many things for me. You always have to do things for other people, or why the hell did somebody do it for you in the first place?
Exactly.
So That's the thing that's one of the vibes that I get from you guys, and hopefully some of our fans that come along, listeners and watchers that come along, and definitely follow these guys. You hear the information you're going to get. It's not BS. They're definitely going to be on the show. We're going to bring them on the show together, but we're going to break them up and let Shayne get his star on. All right, let Shayne get a little bit more shine. But you guys have a terrific evening. Make sure you follow the Take Never Lies Network. All right, go to the Patreon account. I'm probably going to end up doing that. I'll let you know when I do.
It. Let me know.
Also, make sure you watch Keeping It 100 every Wednesday here Central Time at 7:30. If you're on the East Coast, it's at 8:30. You're going to be entertained. I mean, also the production. This isn't just some mamsy-pamsy production. These guys are working to give you something to tune into and check out.
We're known for our 13-minute intros to open our show. That's a bone of contention on YouTube.
Kenneth was a star of one of those intros.
Yeah.
Just what did he say? He got a bag. He got a brand bag. I caught you in the show saying it was great.
You guys, you put out a terrific product, and definitely anytime you catch me saying something and you disagree, make sure you jump back up on here with me or have me come on, and we can definitely chat it up. But yeah, I always appreciate it. Always appreciate it. Make sure you check out the Tape Never Lies Network, and make sure you check out Keeping It 100. And me, as someone whose father passed 2 decades ago, it's touching that you do a show with your dad. Like I'm a big time. I love seeing that, man. So definitely nothing but health and wealth to all of you guys, and you guys keep it up. But make sure you check them out and follow them. And we appreciate you two gentlemen joining us tonight.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Ryan. I know you didn't say much in Arizona, but that's how we like our Arizonans. I'm just